In the headlines, former Nasarawa deputy governor regains freedom after 4 million naira ransom. St. Francis Catholic Church reopens 10 months after deadly attacks in Owo, Ondo State. FCT intending pilgrims get April 21st deadline to complete fare. And on the international scene, 2 bodies found after building collapses in southern French city of Marseille. Hello and welcome to News Update on Trust TV. I am Sagir Ibrahim. Hello and welcome once again. Professor Gie Onje Wado, a former deputy governor of Nasarawa State who was abducted on Thursday night, has been released after a ransom of 4 million naira was paid to his abductors. The professor of law was kidnapped from his country home in Rinza near Wamba, the headquarters of Wamba local government area of the state. His kidnappers had demanded a ransom of 70 million naira, but the family negotiated from 2 million naira and later 3.5 million naira, eventually paying 4 million naira before he was released. A family source said the kidnappers collected the ransom near Mada Hills Secondary School in Akwanga with 200 naira recharge card, after which he was freed from their den close to Angwanchiawa, not far from the hills between Akwanga and Nasarawa Egon. It was gathered that Professor Gewado was taken back to the palace of the paramount ruler of Wamba, Orie Rindre Justice Lawal Musa Nagogo, upon his release. A former NUJ chairman and ex-commissioner of information in the state, Dogo Shamma, confirmed the release of the former deputy governor. Also, St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo, Ondo State reopened for service on Easter Sunday, 10 months after a deadly attack left over 40 worshippers dead and several others injured. At the reopening, the Catholic Bishop of Ondo Diocese, the Most Revered Jude Arugundade, called on the federal government to be alive to their responsibility of protecting the lives and properties of citizens. He said the government has failed in their duty of protection of lives and properties, lamenting how quickly the country moves on after attacks. He charged the government to wake up and show strength and courage and make sure those who carried out the evil that took place in the church and those carrying out the evils that are going on in the country are brought to book and punished accordingly. During the attack, the assailants disguised themselves as worshippers, maiming both old and young worshippers. But 10 months after the incident, worshippers filled the building to celebrate the 2023 Easter. Over 40 persons were killed and many injured during the attack. And also, police in Osun State have arrested 3 suspected kidnappers terrorizing residents of the state. The command's anti-kidnapping squad laid ambush at their hideout and arrested the suspects while others escaped. Hamid Oyegbade reports.
Some Fulani herdsmen in Osun State reported activities of the kidnappers to the police. A relative of one of the captives, Yisa Aliyu, said the kidnappers abducted his brother and shot him despite the payment of ransom by the family. We have had a terrible experience in the hands of the kidnappers. They kidnapped my brother and shot him despite collecting 4 million naira ransom from us. They attempted to kidnap my second brother, Idrisu. We ran to Seriki Toyin to help us. We reported to anti-kidnapping policemen and they foiled the attempt. The policemen tracked the kidnappers to a remote village in Oyo State and stormed their hideout. The policemen foiled the attempt by the kidnappers to abduct another Fulani businessman, Idrisu Aliyu. In a gun duel, one of the policemen was shot by the kidnappers. The policemen arrested 3 suspects while others escaped. Among the suspects is a Seriki Fulani in Afijio local government area of Oyo State, Hussein Abdullah, and 2 Fulani herdsmen, Bari Galadima and Muhammadu Abdullahi. But Hussein denied his involvement in the kidnapping business. Honestly, it is the offense of kidnapping. This man, Barry Galadima, met Seriki, who gave him a number of one man who would be a good target for kidnapping. At that time, I didn't know the man. Even now, I don't know the man. But it was Sarki that gave Barry the number. We planned a kidnapping operation and called one man. We continued calling him, demanding for a ransom, but he didn't give us. We then threatened to kidnap him if he doesn't pay us a ransom. But before we could kidnap him, the government came and apprehended us. The Seriki Fulani of Ayedire local government area of Osun State, Sulaiman Oluwatoyin, said the suspect tarnished the image of Fulani people.
So wahala tí à ń rí àìtí.
We are facing serious problems with kidnappers. It is becoming very serious in the southwest. As a Seriki Fulani, I am not happy that they are tarnishing the name of Fulani. We thank policemen for their prompt response always. On this case, the kidnappers engaged the policemen and shot one of them. Yet, the policemen arrested some of them. We thank the policemen. The Commissioner of Police in Osun State said the suspect will be charged to court after investigation and that their fleeing colleagues will be arrested to face the full wrath of the law. Hamid Oyegbade, Trust TV News, Osogbo.
Also, the Bauchi State Police Command has arrested 7 suspected thugs from their hideout in Magaji quarters. In a statement on Sunday, the police public relations officer in the state, Ahmed Mohammed Wakil, said the suspects aged 17 to 25 were apprehended with some dangerous weapons and alcoholic beverages. The arrest, the police said, followed credible intelligence as well as collaboration with a quasi-security outfit in the northeastern state. According to the police spokesman, investigations revealed that the suspects belong to a notorious thuggery group, Sarasuka, known for terrorizing the city of Bauchi metropolis lately. Reacting to the arrest, the Commissioner of Police, Aminu Al-Hassan, urged parents and guardians to get acquainted with the activities of their children. He stated that the suspects would be charged to court for prosecution upon conclusion of investigation by the Bauchi State Police Command. Also, motorbike operators in Gombe State have reacted to the federal government's plan to remove fuel subsidy by June 2023. A cross-section of the motorbike operators in Gombe Metropolis, who spoke to Ibrahim Ismail, said the policy would escalate the current fuel crisis in the country. He reports.
Despite it being the twilight of the Buhari administration, it is still pressing to implement policies that will impact on the incoming administration. There are already plans to distribute palliatives to poor and vulnerable Nigerians, and the federal government has secured $800 million grant from the World Bank to finance its implementation under the National Social Investment Program. But the motorbike operators in Gombe Metropolis, also known as Okada riders, are uncomfortable with the proposed policy. They believe the move will have a negative effect on their businesses and want government to reverse the policy in the interest of Nigerians. The subsidy removal will affect me negatively, considering the inflation rates in the country. I reject it. A commuter who is supposed to pay 100 naira will pay 50 naira instead. If you buy fuel worth 1,000 naira, you can only make 1,300 or 1,500 naira from it. You can feed your family and give balance for the motorcycle from the amount. They are planning to remove subsidy. Removing the fuel subsidy is plunging us to further hardship. It will take us backward. We are already in a difficult condition. The Okada riders are complaining about current hike in fuel prices, which they say makes it difficult for them to operate. The implication would be that total removal of subsidy would be detrimental to their survival. Removing fuel subsidy will worsen the situation. We are pleading with the government to halt the plan because we are benefiting from the subsidized oil price. The present administration may have federal government secured a grant from the World Bank to drive fund its distribution of palliatives to caution the negative effect of subsidy removal, but will the incoming administration of President-elect Bola Tinubu be willing to be bound by conditions of a grant that it did not take? More importantly, which government will distribute the palliatives and which administration will remove the fuel subsidy? Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
Also, residents of Maiduguri have heaved a sigh of relief over the circulation of cash in the metropolis. For months, the residents had experienced difficulty accessing cash as a result of Naira redesign policy, but it seems the situation has turned around. In this report, Bitrus Kuruti speaks to residents on the present state of access to cash. His report.
The introduction of the CBN's cashless policy in the last few months made it difficult for many residents in Maiduguri to access cash from banks and from point-of-service operators. The directive of the Apex Bank that old notes be reintroduced into circulation is cushioning effects of the hardship. For some residents, the situation has improved compared to previous weeks as they now have access to cash, even though they experience long queues at the banks and network problems when making transactions.
We have been experiencing cash challenges sometimes back, but compared to now, I think there is a little improvement. Improvement in the sense that there are cash in circulation, but the major challenges we are facing is the transaction charges from the maybe bank and other stuff like that.
Well, entering the bank alone has been a big challenge because sometimes you have work to do, you have other schedules, and then seeing the queue in the lines that is leading to the entrance of the bank is something you will spend the whole day.
Getting cash, people get cash, but as a student, you still have to go to the queue, go to the bank, be on the queue for so long, while I still have to attend my classes, my lectures, my practicals. So I still do not have that access to cash. I still my access to cash is still limited to just my transportation from school to my house.
However, some are adjusting to the new reality that the return of cash into circulation will not stop online transactions and use of ATM to pay for services.
Because most of the people has already been on that POS cashless. Even just transfer myself. Most of the people they believe now in transfer more than cash. But even before there are people that they believe on this banking transaction instead of cash. So when this cashless come again, so people are going on it. So for my own business, that POS is more than the cash right now.
Pona Iswa, who runs a point-of-service business, says he gets cash but not easily compared to the period before the cashless policy took effect.
That we are getting the cash, but anytime the CBN release money to the bank, we used to get the cash because I am agent of First Bank and they are helping us sometimes 500,000, sometimes 300, sometimes 400, based on the money that come into the bank. But after they come and release the old notes, now the old note is available more than the new notes. But why is it that the new notes, as they bring it, why is it that now they circulate? Only the old note that is circulating.
For many residents in Maiduguri, the acceptance of old Naira notes and circulation of cash will make life bearable. This is why they hope that the federal government does not revisit the monetary policy again and reintroduce the hardships they experienced. Bitrus Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
Christians in Makurdi have joined their counterparts all over the world to celebrate the feast of Easter. Sunday marks the end of week-long activities in many churches worldwide. Tagged the Holy Week, the Christian's doctrine shows that Easter Sunday is the day Jesus rose from the dead. Easter is celebrated every year to commemorate the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, believed to be the foundation of Christianity and the way to human salvation. Aside from the theological teachings, some Christians who spoke in Makurdi explained the reason for the season.
A day that we Catholics hold it with high esteem is the day we remember the passion our Lord Jesus Christ has gone through. And it also reminds us or tells us that as a Christian, as Christ himself overcome death, and that is how we too. People will say you died, but for a Christian, you have not died. You have not died because your soul, that is the most important thing. So Christ has died and has risen from death after 3 days. So we are made to understand that yes, the body, whereas the body will die, but you will resurrect on the third day, on the last day.
Easter Day is just like any ordinary day, but it's set aside by the Catholic in particular to celebrate the virtues, the good virtues and essence of Jesus Christ. It culminates on Sunday. It is to celebrate the virtues. It's the height of the passion of Christ. We are all encouraged by this day and the activities marking the day. We are all encouraged to embrace the virtues of Christ.
Also, intending pilgrims who have made deposits for the forthcoming Hajj with the Federal Capital Territory Muslim Pilgrims Welfare Board have till Friday, April 21st to complete their Hajj fare payment as announced by the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON. A statement by the Public Relations Officer of the board, Muhammad Lawal Aliyu, said the deadline is to enable the board comply with the deadline set by NACON for all states and the FCT in respect of payment of Hajj fares for this year. The statement explained that the payment of the balance by respective intending pilgrims would enable the board to establish its prospective master list for the trip, considering the time frame for the airlift of the intending pilgrims to the Holy Land. He disclosed that completing the amount as required would also enable the board to continue with other travel arrangements as well as the deadline for the balance of payment to NACON. The spokesman emphasized that only those who made the complete payment by the deadline would be registered in the master list for this year's Hajj exercise. You're watching News Update on Trust TV. Still to come. Distinguishing between culture and modernity. This and more after the break.
That's great.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching News Update on Trust TV. Now a recap of some of our major stories. Former Nasarawa Deputy Governor regains freedom after 4 million naira ransom. And St. Francis Catholic Church reopens 10 months after deadly attack in Owo, Ondo State. Moving on to other stories, reward from Allah is a major motivation for fasting during the month of Ramadan. But besides the health benefits to their body system, non-Muslims who participate in Ramadan may miss the reward. Hamid Oyegbade reports.
Fasting in the month of Ramadan is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, considered to be obligatory act of worship for all Muslims. These include the Muslim creed, daily prayers, charity to the poor, fasting in the month of Ramadan, and the pilgrimage to Mecca for those who are able. Fasting has 8 benefits to human body besides the spiritual development and the reward from Allah.
The health benefits of fasting includes fasting promotes blood sugar control, it boosts the brain function and other cognitive functions. Fasting aids weight loss, and also fasting has been found to increase the production of growth hormone.
However, scholars believe that only those who are Muslims will earn reward from Allah for fasting during the month of Ramadan.
The Prophet says, he who fasts with faith and sincerity will get multiple rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the acceptance of prayer is included among the rewards from Allah during the fasting for Ramadan. But for the non-Muslims, there is no reward for them because the faith is not there.
Ramadan is a month in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put it down to be a training ground for the Muslim, to be able to nurture their mind and their hearts in obedience to the injunction and rulings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Any Muslim that fasts according to the rule and injunction of Allah is compulsory that his mind will be in peace, and at the same time he'll be able to nurture his mind to follow the injunction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because someone is fasting, anything that can vitiate his fasting, he'll be shunning away from it, like involving in sinful acts. So that's the first thing which Allah wants us to gain from fasting, to be able to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
The clerics are urging Muslims to step up their act of worship as the month of Ramadan winds down, so as to earn bountiful rewards from Allah. Hamid Oyegbade, Trust TV News, Oshogbo.
Thanks to Hamid for that report. Now, Tashe is a play performance by children, youth, and in some Hausa communities, even by the elderly, to entertain people at night during the month of Ramadan. Tashe performance use drums and other traditional musical instruments, while others dramatize their messages to conform with the values of communities they represent. Abdullahi Yamudi witnessed young stars performing Tashe in Katsina and Maradi in the neighboring Niger Republic. Take a look.
From these young boys to these young girls dressed in attire that depicts Hausa culture and traditions, the message is the same, meaning Ramadan fast is at its peak and the momentum inches towards Salah festivities.
Malama ga kudin toshinki ban kada lefe na ku zuba mini bani barin sallah ta wuce ni. Malama me kike ta faɗi ne? So nake nayi tarin sallah dan bana kun ga ko ba a wuce ni.
The origin of this long cultural heritage could be traced to the beginning of the existence of Hausa people. Some of these performers depict the origins, values of Hausa culture mixed with fictions on one hand and modernity on the other, mostly done between the first 10 days to the 20th of Ramadan. Its attachment with the month of Ramadan tries to give Tashe a more religious correlation than culture in most Hausa communities. However, some historians from the Niger Republic look at Tashe from a cultural perspective other than the religious point of view, even as it is done only during the month of Ramadan. While in some communities, Tashe performers are given some grains, meals, and even drinks. In some towns and cities, they are given some token amount of money as gifts.
So I suggest that people of the custodians of Hausa traditional culture shouldn't allow the culture of Tashe to die, because Tashe is a part and parcel of Hausa culture, and the culture is an identity of a people. As such, the culture of Tashe, which all observers will tell you that is on the verge of extinction as a result of intrusion of certain foreign cultures. This culture must not be allowed to die.
Observers say Tashe performers depicts the spirit of Ramadan, which encourages sharing, sober reflection, perseverance, humility, and togetherness. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Oh, there you have it, Tashe performance up north. Now on the foreign scene, French authorities on Monday said 2 bodies have been found while at least 6 others are still missing in the rubble of a building that collapsed in Marseille following a major explosion. The discovery of the bodies came about 24 hours after the blast brought down the 4-story building in the Mediterranean port city. Emergency workers had continued rescue operations through Sunday night into the early hours of Monday with the help of a crane and lights. But a persistent fire underneath the rubble hampered their work, making it difficult for firefighters to deploy sniffer dogs. The fire department said in a brief statement that the rescue efforts are still underway. The cause of the explosion is still to be determined, but investigators are looking at the possibility it was the result of a gas leak. More than 100 firefighters were battling the blaze in the ruins of the building, which was believed to have 1 apartment on each floor. And with that, we've come to the end of News Update at this hour. Do well to follow us across all our media platforms. I'm Sagir Ibrahim. Thanks for watching.